Coming up next, it's the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time, and what a show we've got in store for you. We're going to talk about WWE Hell in a Cell, your submitted team or your submitted opponents for this week's Versus segment. Star of the Week, details on the 2009 Pro Wrestling Report honors, and we go in depth on one of the most influential people in the history of the wrestling business. The Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time, now featured on WrestleZone.com, starts right now.
Number one since 1998 on television, ESPN Radio, and the World Wide Web. This is the Pro Wrestling Report with your hosts, the man they call Meathead, Frank Cosentino, and Damian Nelson. Professional wrestling news, opinion, and information from fans for fans.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time. Damian Nelson sitting here alongside David Hero and the man they call Meathead. The cause is MIA again.
The band MIA? The band of Misfits in Action?
I'm not familiar with that term.
Misfits in Action.
I can't believe he got past security this week.
I'm going to be on this
A
show.
lot to talk about. We just burned 24 seconds of it, so let's go right into it. WWE Hell in a Cell was this past Sunday on pay-per-view. We talked about it in-depthly on this past Tuesday night's edition of the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. But gentlemen, let's go down the list match by match and just give a few comments on each. The opening contest at WWE Hell in a Cell, the pay-per-view last Sunday from Newark, New Jersey, was for the World Heavyweight Championship. CM Punk versus The Undertaker. The Undertaker walks out of his match, Hell in a Cell, the new World Heavyweight Champion.
Opening match. World title opening match.
And Taker couldn't go more than 10 minutes.
I don't think he had to. I just think he's that much of a dominant force. Tombstone.
But is he in the
Is he
doghouse like Dave
unstoppable
Hero
force
thinks?
or the immovable object?
I think he's the unstoppable force.
I think he's in the doghouse like Dave Hero says.
Why is he in the doghouse?
Because he's
The
in the
Undertaker?
opening match. That's the first
I
time.
didn't say that Taker was in the doghouse. I said CM Punk is in the doghouse.
I don't believe a doghouse exists.
I don't either. I'm just repeating what I heard on the radio show.
There's a doghouse. People get in there.
You've lived in a doghouse?
Ask Ken Anderson about a doghouse. Right?
Yeah, but he's in the outhouse right now because he's
ask
outside.
Triple H about a doghouse.
1996, 7. He spent quite a bit of time in it.
Yes, he did.
The next matchup was for the Intercontinental Championship. John Morrison versus Dolph Ziggler. High hopes going into this matchup, at least from this particular fan. And they delivered a good match. But I think I might have expected too much.
Everyone expected too much. That's why it didn't fail, but that's why it wasn't as good as advertised. Everyone thought that's the match that's going to steal the show. The high hopes, you know.
The sleeper, if you
Oops, there goes another rubber tree plant. Is that what you would say with that?
Ah, a little Sinatra there.
Yeah, there you
just
go.
scored 2 more points.
Well,
Very good. Good job,
Well, you're
David.
still working up the hill, though, because you don't watch Seinfeld.
I thought I
mean-
would,
You're on
bust
the other
out
side
a
of the
rhyme
mountain.
before you would, you know.
Trying to steal my gimmick.
No, you can have your gimmick.
Well, I'm
Keep
already a
talking
thief,
sound bites.
apparently, according to Al Snow.
How about your thoughts on the match?
My thoughts on the match were it was what it was, and it is what it is, and we're going to see more of these matches between these two guys down the road.
You might see 1 or 2 more. Then they'll take a break for a while.
Right. I mean, there'll be more matches down the road. Again, like I mentioned, Rock Austin had a first match. You know, Rock Triple H had a first match. Triple H Austin had a first match. So
you're comparing
I'm
Ziggler
saying, no, what I'm saying is these,
and
if
Nitro
they're supposed to
to
be,
Rock and Austin.
his
Like
name's not
Alicia
Nitro.
Fox and Mr. Perfect.
That's the
See what you do?
no, it's what you do. If you know
That
these are
voodoo
so,
that you do.
if these are supposed to be the up and coming stars, you know, like Rock and Austin and Triple H and Taker were, you know, at their times, they all had first matches. So
Okay, don't get hot about it.
Unified tag team titles were on the line. Chris Jericho and The Big Show versus Batista and Rey Mysterio. This one actually ended up being the sleeper match, I would say, of the night. I didn't expect much out of it, but got quite a bit.
I thought it was the best match on the show, hands down.
So there's Jericho. What was your name for the other team?
I called him Raytista or Mysterio. Take your
Ooh,
pick.
I like
Mysterio.
Mysterio.
Could sell a shirt with that on there.
I think so. Front and back.
Your thoughts?
Raytista, Mysterio.
Coming and going. Your thoughts?
Jericho's still the dominant tag team force on pay-per-view, and then the next night crushed by DX.
A new WWE champion was crowned in Randy Orton in Hell in a Cell as he took on John Cena, who walked in to that event, the WWE champion. This one, I thought, was a superb match between these two, primarily because I was hoping it would be their last.
I thought that the match, the outcome was great. it made Randy Orton strong with the punt to the head. You know, John Cena even remained strong because he did get kicked to the head.
Mhm.
It was well done.
With
It's
all
a
things
nice way to
considered,
extend it for one more pay-per-view.
sure. With all things considered, it was an okay match. But how do you feel them playing hot potato right now with the WWE
Hot
Championship?
potato, hot potato.
You know what?
You watch the
Honestly,
Wiggles?
I don't think the fans care who has the belt, really.
Well,
They just
no,
want those
one
two
of
to
the
quit
of them.
facing each other.
Well, I mean, you know, it's going to go back and forth. I mean, it's changed what now? 8 times in the past year?
We'll talk about that later.
All right. So we'll stay with your program here.
Yeah, we've got a script.
No, I have a script. I've got a script to run. The United States Championship was on the line. Apparently, Kofi Kingston strong enough to defeat 2 people, but not 1.
With the
because
decapitator.
He did win the match at Hell in a Cell. and
Why always
retained-
putting down Kofi?
I didn't put him down. I said he won with a decapitator.
Which isn't the name of his move.
Retained the United States Championship, only to lose it the next night to The Miz, who I guess is actually awesome. Dave Hero, your thoughts on this 3-way at Hell in a Cell?
I missed a good portion of it.
Bathroom? Beer?
No,
Popcorn?
that was the match after the other match.
That was the match that I actually was sitting
The
there
match
talking to Dave the
after-
whole
Yeah,
time.
that was K-Quick and what's his name?
His name's not K-Quick. It's
If
Ron
you
the
did
Truth
read the
Killer.
script, you'll notice that match is not even on here to be discussed.
Oh.
In the interest of time.
Yeah.
You know what? It was okay. I mean, Jack Swagger and The Miz, I think are future.
Jack who?
Swagger!
You know what? I saw that sign on Raw. Did you see
Swagger?
Yeah.
that?
TH?
Yeah.
I think that was for you.
Possible.
We'll take it.
And it was okay. It was nothing special. It wasn't a match that I was, looking forward to seeing. Not because I'm not a big Kofi fan. I think he's getting better, but definitely the belt belongs around on the Miz or Jack Swagger.
I thought it would go to Jack Swagger, only because you could play up the All-American holding the United States Championship, kind of like in Meathead's WCW. But your winner now is awesome instead of awful. Maybe that was the momentum he needed. Instead of having to say, I'm awful, that was all he needed.
The Divas Championship was on the line as Mickie James took on Alicia Fox. Mickie James able to walk out of Hell in a Cell still the Divas champion. Dave Hero.
Rather disappointed. I was cheering for Alicia Fox.
That's the
know.
not the problem because we're fans.
Yeah,
And-
I mean, it would be nice if they would change things up once in a while.
Well, it's nice to see a wrestler has the women's title instead of a diva.
Well,
So-
you know what? There aren't many wrestlers in the
I know.
Divas division. So
You've got Beth, you got Mickey, you've got
Melina
Natalia,
and Gail.
and Natalia.
Yes, but she never wrestles.
They don't allow her to. That's unfortunate because she can wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a diva match for the diva belt. There's nothing else to say about it.
The main event of the night is DX versus Legacy. Final of 3 Hell in a Cell matchups. Now, here's the thing, though. Once Orton and Cena came out in the second of 3 Hell in a Cell matches, you knew Orton was winning because that would have been the main if Cena had won. Meaning they had to
Send them
end
home
on a
happy.
high note with DX getting the win in that matchup, and it was sort of a bit spoiled once that match, due to the placement on the card where it was. That made it make some sense. However, what does it do to your world titles when you have a tag team match featuring 2 non-title holders on the top of a pay-per-view?
See, I disagree because a lot of the fans there like Randy Orton. There were more cheers for
Well,
Randy Orton than there
More
were for John
fans,
Cena.
as we heard from 2 of our callers who were live at Hell in a Cell this past Tuesday on the ESPN radio show, it was clearly split in favor of Orton.
Let's face it, the payment plan goes, when you main event a pay-per-view, you get a little more of the money. The son-in-law, he got paid.
It
He's got to
does.
buy groceries for Sunday brunch this week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it does crap on the titles though. It does.
You know what?
It does because again, the heavyweight championship was the opening match. The WWE championship was the mid card.
You know what? I don't think it's as much as the titles as it is the people involved in the match.
Mm-hmm.
Undertaker should never, ever, ever open a
So he must be
pay-per-view.
in the doghouse.
No,
But does match order matter anymore to the fans?
yes,
It does.
There is no such thing as a preliminary match, though.
There's a dark match.
Correct.
That
That's
people
not
don't have to
televised.
actually cheer for.
It's not televised. And the lights are on.
Typically, you open the show with your cruiserweights to get the crowd going.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
You
So
know-
why can't you do it with the Undertaker? Opinionist.
Here's why: because the Undertaker's a main event.
Sure.
He
Okay?
works a different style match.
Is he an icon?
Well, yeah, he's an icon. He's a legend. He's a Hall of Famer.
Is he a showstopper?
Oh, he's a showstopper.
Well, he's a show starter.
He
at
stopped the
Hell in a
show,
Cell.
right? He's beaten Shawn Michaels in 2 big matches, so he is the stopper of the showstopper.
I just don't know if it matters anymore where matches place. And again, I think this made some sense. But let's talk about the match itself. Shawn Michaels getting beat down for a long period of time, and then the reversal of roles as DX did the same to Legacy Meathead. Your thoughts?
Dave and I were sitting watching the pay-per-view together, and Dave came up with a great point. I said, why, out of the 2 guys that are going to take the beat down for the entire match, why is Shawn Michaels doing all the work? Which one is healthier? Which one would sell better? And which one should take and do all the work? Dave, what did you say to me?
I forgot. That was
Only one guy has the sledgehammer.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah, Shawn
Orton
Michaels
used it
doesn't.
once.
Shawn Michaels doesn't have a sledgehammer.
He does have a super kick. But
Who would you rather watch get beat down for 10, 15 minutes?
Triple H.
Well,
Shawn Michaels.
But here's the thing, though. In all the big tag teams, there's always one guy that takes the heat, one guy makes the gets the hot tag. In the Outlaws, Road Dogg
did the
always
work.
took the heat,
Yeah.
and Billy always made the hot tag.
Mhm.
In Harlem Heat, is the same way.
Yeah.
Big Show never gets beaten down. It's always Jericho.
Mhm.
So of course you make the hot tag to Triple H. He comes in. Shawn Michaels is the smaller of the 2. That's why he takes all the heat, and he bumps all over the place.
Yeah. Great explanation.
You all had the opportunity to tell us what you thought of WWE Hell in a Cell by putting monetary value to it at pwrshow.com. And this is quite shocking, actually, based off the reviews
Shock
we've
mastering?
heard, which is that most people didn't find it as a favorable pay-per-view. However, 64% of you thought it was well worth the $40 you spent on it.
Because they saw 3 cage matches. That's why.
Cage matches.
Yes.
Yeah, because they weren't really Hell in a Cell
It was
matches.
not
They
a
weren't
Hell in
even
a
cage
Cell.
matches.
Right. Because, the real cage matches that they used to have, where you had to get out of the cage or escape the cage, they don't have those anymore either. Pins and submissions happen inside cages.
See, I guess if TNA is going to make a run, they do it now at Bound for Glory with their Monsters Ball match.
The BFG 09?
Which we now know is Mick Foley versus Abyss in a Monsters Ball
I mean,
match,
people-
which will put asses in the seats
It'll
So
sell
you're saying
tickets
some people will buy the pay-per-view for that match?
for that match, correct?
because it's Mick Foley in a
Hardcore
train wreck
match,
match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's putting over the other guy that, I guess you could compare him to. When
Blue
Abyss
flannel,
was...
red flannel?
Yeah, well,
The blue team and the red team?
That's funny you say that. But when Abyss was in TNA without Mick Foley, they're like, man, I can't wait to see a Mick Foley Abyss match. They've been talking about it for a couple of years.
Well, let's rewind too, though. How smart was it for Foley and for TNA to reference Hell in a Cell a week before WWE's Hell in a Cell pay-per-view?
They reference
'Cause they did it on Impact.
everything. They always do that. Vinnie Mac never lets his talent reference anything about TNA.
He's got a thumb right on top of all his...
Still waiting for them to cancel those Twitter accounts. It's going to happen.
It's coming. Damn it.
WWE Hell in a Cell this past Sunday on pay-per-view. It's time now for Versus, segment we debuted last week, and now you, the viewers, have the opportunity to submit your matches, your fantasy matchups, your Versus matchups. A star of the past versus a star of the present, and this time we take a female approach to it. And
That's
Versus...
a meathead fantasy match then.
Mm-hmm. A broad approach. Well, a chick versus broad.
You would be crushed by either of these. The first participant is Chyna, Joni Lauer.
She'd snap it off.
5'10", 180 pounds, from Rochester, New York. Signature moves, finishing maneuvers, the big DDT, or that gorilla press slam that we saw so many times. Her opponent, as submitted by Ashley Walker, who won the contest this week, is Beth Phoenix. 5'6", 150 pounds, from New York as well, Elmira, the town. Signature moves include the Grand Slam, which is an elevated chicken wing facebuster. So, you've got Chyna, the only female intercontinental champion, I believe the only female to hold a male wrestling title, at least in the major
In
organization history.
WWE, because Miss Jackie actually was the TV champ in WCW.
There's two things wrong with that. It being in WCW and it being the TV championship. Because after Tully Blanchard had it, who cared about
I
it?
may be wrong. It might have been the Cruiserweight
You're
championship.
probably wrong. But anyways, Chyna versus Beth Phoenix. Beth Phoenix, the Glamazon. Chyna, the eighth wonder of the world. It's an interesting pairing. Meathead, your thoughts?
Well, if we're comparing their entrance themes, I actually like Chyna's better.
Why, because of the big blaster gun she had?
No,
pyro.
I said the music.
Oh, yeah,
Don't
I said the music.
go again.
I knew the words. I just
That
I'm
was
glad
contextual.
Yeah.
All right.
If it were the music, but if the two of them were to wrestle each other, it's unfortunate because I think that the more pure wrestler would have been the Glamazon, Beth Phoenix, but Chyna would just beat her down. I mean, I see Chyna being the brute force in that match and actually kind of just Zeus to Hulk Hogan, if you will, kind of just just kind of knocking him down over and over. I think that Chyna would win.
Well, I guess for me it depends on what Chyna we're talking about. Are we talking up the jacked up?
We're talking about
Square
right
chin
before
Chyna?
Mamacita.
Or are
We're
we
talking about the Chyna that shook Terry Reynolds around like a rag doll.
Then the Glamazon's in for a whole world of trouble.
Yeah.
Because that Chyna was bad. I mean, there's no way.
I still mark out for that to this moment.
Yeah.
Watching it, it was the Raw that Sid or Bret Hart, somebody won the title. One of them it was in Seattle, I believe. I think Bret won it from Sid, but be that as it may, she just got shook the heck out.
She was all over the place. But if it's that jacked up Chyna, then definitely.
The one with the braces and the one with the
Yeah, with the square face.
yeah.
Yeah.
Still can't believe-
Do you still want? You don't think the
He
Mamacita
was
one?
going to say.
I was going to say, if it's the Mamacita version of Chyna, I think the Glamazon would take her.
Really?
Yeah. So it's a draw for me.
I got to go with Chyna in that one. I'm not sure if we've seen enough of Beth Phoenix.
Enough brute force out of Beth
Well, we
Phoenix.
did for a while, but I don't think
Not
they carried
enough.
it long enough for us
Right.
to favorably compare her to Chyna.
Mhm.
Thank you, Ashley Walker, for that. You
Thank
can send
you.
your emails to comments at pwrshow.com. We'd like to welcome all of our viewers who are watching us now on WrestleZone.com. WrestleZone, the official news source of the Pro
Wait, hi.
Wrestling Report. PWR Primetime, now available at WrestleZone.com.
My
as
mom says
well.
I'm special.
I thought you were Eugene there for a second.
Well, again, WrestleZone.com every Friday, the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time, in addition to all the rest of our media networks and PWRShow.com, and obviously, most importantly, on TV Channel 14 in southeastern Wisconsin, immediately following WWE Smackdown. Let's go to the news desk. Several news items this week, first of which Ric Flair. Some problems between him and High Spots. They did not come to terms on an agreement. Ric Flair owing them some money from an appearance where he did not actually appear, but got an advance on. Somehow or another, they have possession of one of the original NWA World Title belts, which was used last by TNA on a national scale, and now they are selling it.
On eBay?
Well, actually, if you're interested in purchasing it, David, you can send an email to highspots@aol.com. highspots@aol.com. This belt is probably the most historic title belt in wrestling.
Well, if it was really Ric Flair's, then it was through Dusty Rhodes and Harley Race and Tommy Wildfire Rich.
The real heavyweight championship of the world.
Terry Funk.
Terry Funk.
That's the one that
They're
you
gonna
had
get a
to
lot of
put
money
down. I
for
believe
this.
it was $100,000. They had
Kerry
to put
Von
down.
Erich.
You had to put down the $100,000 deposit just to have.
Was it
the belt.
100 or was it 40?
Something like that.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, but you had to put money down to have the belt while you were champ, and then once you dropped the belt, you got the money back.
Again, bidding closes very soon, offers rather, close very soon on that item. Ric Flair's original NWA Championship. I might
Place a
go
bid
and
on
try
it?
to buy that.
There you go. Put that next to
I
your
can write
JR
that off, right?
Put that next to your JR hat.
I didn't win that.
Which one, the original one or the straw one that we wore back in the old days?
Two historic wrestling venues are on the block. One the auction block, one the cutting block. The Pontiac Silverdome, host of WrestleMania 3, the site of the world's indoor attendance record of 93,173, is up for auction. The place has been in a unique state for the last several years. I would imagine someone would pick it up, and there's talk of maybe an entertainment facility being built in its place.
You know, it's funny that when we went to WrestleMania 23, I believe it was, in downtown Detroit, there was all these
Downtown.
There was all these flyers around Save Tiger Stadium. Actually, I didn't realize that they were doing this either, but they were talking about Save the Silverdome too. Wow, imagine what it looks like around the Silverdome.
The
Because
only way
we saw what it looked like around Tiger Stadium.
the only
and
way they
it
can
was-
save that is make it a homeless shelter.
Yeah, well,
you
I
get
mean,
about
this isn't the
92,000
Superdome.
people in there.
Yeah, this
In
isn't,
Detroit, you can.
yeah,
30% unemployment.
this isn't the Superdome.
School system's bankrupt.
But I mean, right around Tiger Stadium, it is
We're
desolate.
talking sports. on this
Speaking of Detroit, our in-depth superstar this week is from the Motor City. Also, the Asylum on the Nashville Fairgrounds in Nashville, Tennessee, is going to be closed down. That is where TNA first made its debut and did its weekly pay-per-views from. So I would imagine we might see a little bit of a homecoming there before that building goes away, as it is near and dear to the hearts of all those in TNA wrestling.
But who's left from there?
AJ Styles,
Jeff Jarrett.
Eric Young,
There's like 6 guys left.
Mike Tenay, Don
James Storm.
West.
James Storm.
Yeah, there's not many left.
I think it still has some sentimental value to many of the fans who have followed TNA wrestling since those days.
Bring in Ken Shamrock.
I think the fans.
Which wouldn't be us.
I think the fans that were there won't come back because they kind of got screwed.
By moving to
They
Orlando.
picked up shop and moved it to Orlando.
Oh, they had it for
So you're saying it's
4 years or
a
2
Colts
years.
Ravens thing?
Absolutely.
Mick Foley is
Mayflower,
setting,
middle of the night.
Mick Foley is setting up a stand-up comedy tour where he's going to perform just like he did during SummerSlam weekend in Los Angeles, California. And most of the material is based off of his wrestling career.
You know what they should do
dates
is
will be announced.
they should do a dual stand-up
Like on
tour.
MTV?
No, you have Mick headline one night, and then you have the KKB headline the other night, and the two of them can play off
The
of
King
each other.
Kong Bundy.
Sure.
I think he'd be hilarious.
Hilarious.
Matt Morgan has signed a new 5-year deal with TNA Wrestling, and Ice-T is slated to be a guest host
And wife.
on
Coco.
Coco.
No clue what they're talking about. He's on
Yeah,
SVU, that's
we
about
know.
all I know. And he was at WrestleMania 16. Star of the week, gentlemen. Last week, Star of the
WrestleMania
week.
16. Wasn't it WrestleMania 2000?
Same thing.
Okay. Because nobody calls it 16.
I did. Last week it was Chris Jericho. This week, Star of the Week, as deemed by me for discussion, is Randy Orton. The slow, methodical, serial killer,
The Viper.
angle, gimmick, persona. It's just getting better and better each week. While his entrance may now be longer than The Undertaker's, it is all part of the overall character, and his performance in that matchup psychologically and the way it was portrayed in that matchup at WWE Hell in a Cell against John Cena was exemplary. When Michael Cole said you could almost read his mind, it was true. You could almost read his mind. That's good wrestling psychology. That is a good character in wrestling. The question though is, how long can that be maintained? The Undertaker's had that gimmick since 1990-91. Can Randy Orton get such a lineage out of such an angle, or such a gimmick?
I feel that maybe he looks more and more intense the closer he shaves his head. Because, I mean, he had hair, then he shaved it down to the...
We had a conversation.
But now he shaves it bald. Okay, so maybe he's getting a little too close. Little too close for comfort. And to be honest, his entrance is almost longer,
Yes.
almost longer than Triple H's Conan the Barbarian entrance. I mean, he just literally prods along, just slowly.
He's taken
Step.
what Jake the Snake Roberts
By
did,
step.
Ooh,
and he's
great.
maximized it.
Great.
He's taken it to
Great
a whole different
comparison.
level.
Great comparison there.
Jake the Snake, Randy Orton.
Underappreciated,
The Snake, the
undervalued.
Viper.
Well, we still say underappreciated, but Jake the Snake Roberts, he was the mental mastermind.
But don't sit here and say you realized that when you were watching it as a kid.
No, you don't.
I didn't. I don't know if you did, but
No,
it was
you don't.
once his career was over.
I always wondered why he'd always talk so quietly in his
Mhm.
interviews.
He got you.
It's to make people listen to him.
The louder the other goes, the quieter you should be.
And that's funny.
That's
because
why I'm quiet.
No,
He's
that's
so
actually
loud.
wrong. I know
That's the
that.
David Hero Zing of the Week, ladies and
No.
gentlemen.
Brought to you by Asian Zing. No, I know that philosophy because that's actually how you handle a very irate, say, customer or individual. Talk softer. Make them stop what they're doing.
Randy Orton is this week's Star of the Week. Gentlemen, the 2009 Pro Wrestling Report Honors is upon us. December 11, 2009 is the date. And visit pwrshow.com each and every Thursday for announcements regarding the honors ceremony and program. You, the fans, will control it. It's almost like People's Choice Awards. You're going to select the nominees, and then you're going to vote on the finalists to be announced on that broadcast.
Do we
on
have any
December
control
11th.
over the winners?
The winners? No.
We have absolutely
Zero.
no
It's
control over the
really
winners.
up to
However, we
all
will
of them?
add certain categories for us to vote on, specifically the panel here.
Yeah, well, and we'll give opinions on winners, losers. Just like we didn't vote John Cena Pro Wrestling Report Wrestler of the Year. It was voted on by you, the people, in
2006
2007.
Wrestler of the Year, the highest
Seven.
honor from the honors. 2006. You let me talk. The 2006 Honors Wrestler of the Year was Kurt Angle. The 2007 Honors Wrestler of the Year was John Cena, and the 2008 Honors Wrestler of the Year was Edge.
And you think you know?
I try to remember. Ratings and reviews, shows from this past week. Firstly, WWE Raw, which got a 3.3 rating, up from a 3.1 last week. And here's why this is significant. Monday Night Football on ESPN got the highest cable television rating of all time. 15.3 Raw, up against some very stiff competition. Apparently, their choice of guest hosts worked and didn't put them below a 3. They could have gotten well below a 3.
It won them over on the East Coast. Because here in the Midwest,
That's where a lot of your larger markets
here in the West, no one was watching Raw live.
Well, everybody was watching the Packers-Vikings game.
Who
Yeah.
won? Packers?
The Vikings.
Oh.
Brett Favre.
I thought he was a Packer.
Oh, no, not anymore. Where have you been?
Oh, wait, I thought he went to the
He
Jets.
was the Jet, yeah. And
Then he retired.
And now he's a Viking.
Then he retired. Then he cried.
Someone else
Didn't he
cried
cry
about
again?
that, too.
Well, I didn't cry.
Didn't he cry again?
You cried
Wait,
again.
we just received word. Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Brett Favre has just sat down for dinner. Breaking news. Brett Favre has just sat down for dinner.
It was.
Let's go now to
if-
our live team coverage of Brett Favre sitting down for dinner.
If there was any opportunity for the criminal element in the, say, greater Midwest, Milwaukee type area to knock over a house, Monday night during the game would have been it, because the streets were dead. It hasn't been that dead since about January 26, 1997.
Was that the year they lost the Super Bowl?
That was the year
My
they won
favorite
this-
Super Bowl ever.
That was the toughest
You
Super
watched?
Bowl for me.
Oh, I watched because I couldn't wait for the Packers to lose.
No,
Because I wanted to see
We're-
everybody in this state get so deflated and be depressed over millionaires playing football who didn't win a game. Ratings and reviews roundtable. 3.3 Raw got this past week.
Yeah, that's
UK
pretty bitter.
I know.
I do have some strong feelings about
Wow.
that situation.
That kind of hurts.
Just saying.
I was trying to sell Packer gear that year.
Well,
I didn't sell the
He
World
was the guy
Champion
crushing
stuff.
you. He was the
Yeah.
guy crushing
it's
you.
12 years
You
ago.
were cheering for
Aren't
my
you over it?
failure.
Ben Roslin, not going to work here anymore. Ben Roethlisberger was the
Roethlisberger.
Sure, was the guest host of Raw. How'd you guys think he did?
No, I didn't like the way he talked. The
I-
only entertaining segment was him and Santino.
I thought he did a great job of getting DX over.
Because they needed it.
And getting those clips for SportsCenter.
Yes. As which
was clearly the most important thing
No,
WWE was
guys,
doing
over
on
here.
Yeah.
No, now guys, over here. And then put your arms up like this. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Where was Legacy?
Look
I
at
don't
their
know.
wounds. They'll be off TV for at least a
Why did
week
they have
or
to
two.
lick their wounds? They didn't take as much of a beat down as Shawn Michaels
Hey,
did.
Cody Rhodes took a super kick and a sledgehammer to the face.
At
With
the
a
same
chair.
time, which was a good spot, by the way.
Elbow with a chair.
Okay,
Yeah.
so DiBiase, he was on Superstars this week, fine. But
Gotta give the kids a break.
The kids are all
the
right.
kids need a break, but the old men did.
The old men needed the Ben Roethlisberger Sports Center rub.
But again, shouldn't they came out in
No.
bandages?
No. Here's the thing, because if Legacy's on the show, then they do a run-in during the main event.
Right.
I was waiting for it.
But
Photo ops.
Yeah, it's all about the photo op.
Terrible.
The Miz is the new United States champion, and somebody said, I think it was Jerry Lawler that said, now we're going to have to hear about this. And that is a fact, which is a good thing because The Miz has delivered his character the way he should. And really, it was like, oh no, now he's the champion. Maybe he is awesome.
Well,
But
it's not
again,
his
Kofi
first-
Kingston couldn't beat 2 men the night before and 3 men the month before, yet he can get beat by 1 man.
He's tired.
Oh,
He's had
maybe it's
people.
because he's now from Wisconsin.
Well, yeah, it's because of the move.
Ooh, jet lag.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't think that he probably flew.
Bragging rights. 1 hour
Be careful of that.
of Randy Orton and John Cena announced on Raw this past Monday night.
I think it's going to be great.
Oh.
It's going to be awesome.
Oh.
Now, you are clearly an opinionist, and I'm a
an
journalist.
I'm a broadcast journalist.
I
Explain.
think Randy Orton is going to show the world why he should be voted PWR Wrestler of the Year.
That's voted on by you, the people.
Yes. And I think John Cena will be exposed.
So what you're doing is you're not letting them vote for their own. Now you're telling them who to vote for.
Unlike the Simon Cowell, I'm going to make hints as to who you should vote for.
TNA Impact last week got a 1.1 rating, up from its 1.0 rating the previous week. Let's talk a little bit about the UK ratings as we talk about the previous week. WWE Raw in its initial broadcast getting 53,000 viewers, and then its replay on Thursday getting 82,000 viewers, for a grand total of about 135,000 viewers. TNA last week in the UK got 66,000 viewers in its one airing, up 16,000 from the prior week. And Smackdown
And that's
in the
because
United
of the British
Kingdom.
invasion, I think.
Could be.
That's why they're tuning in.
Smackdown in the United Kingdom got
But
54,000.
no,
in its
no,
initial
no,
airing,
stop,
and then
stop. I can't let Dave have that one and just sit there. Stop.
What did I do?
Dave Hero has said on this very program, TNA craps all over the international audience because all of their wrestlers,
I said crap.
international wrestlers, are the bad guys. They don't tune in because of that. He said everyone,
Hernandez is international.
but no. He said every one of their foreign wrestlers in
No,
TNA.
I said they're
You
willingly.
you are truly. Have you ever been on the O'Reilly Factor? Because you might need a guest host every now and again. And I like Bill O'Reilly. Don't like you so much, but I like Bill O'Reilly. You spin everything. He didn't say that.
He
Just
did.
like you said,
I didn't
he
say
said
crap at
Mr.
anybody.
Alicia Fox was compared to Mr. Perfect.
He did compare
missed-
Alicia Fox to-
You twisted, turned, turvied what he said. Why am I defending you?
I'm the
Yeah.
victim.
Yeah, you're a
I'm the
victim.
victim.
Yeah.
The Foley and Abyss segment from last Thursday's Impact, not yesterday's, last Thursday's Impact. Talk about some good TV.
Hey, and you know what? You know what? I found out that was a legitimate hard way from the VHS tape.
Really?
On his hand? Well, it had to be.
Yeah. I mean, all of a sudden, smacks him over the head with it.
He had a pretty good gouge.
I mean, it wasn't gimmicked up. It wasn't nothing. You know, blood all over the dance floor.
He didn't use John Cena's blade that he dropped.
No, he did not. So right now, the joke in the back is, instead of hitting somebody with a chair, use a VHS or a Betamax tape.
I was gonna say Betamax, or you could hit him with a reel-to-reel. Go old
Yeah,
school.
but no, I thought the Mick Foley promo with Abyss was some of the best piece of business or piece of work that Mick Foley's done since being in TNA.
It was good. It was good.
Lacey Von Erich,
OVE.
as beautiful as she may be,
Poor Lacey.
was as green as the screen behind us.
Ask Sunny what she thinks about Lacey.
Did she mention her by name in the Facebook tirade?
LVE.
Yeah. You know what? I think Lacey, she's very talented. She's definitely very beautiful. I don't think she's had enough time to work her craft. She's never spent time on the indies. You know, she was in developmental for a very short time.
Do you think,
About a minute.
I'm going to make an analogy here, and it's not, Alicia Fox, Kurt Hennig, but do you
No,
think
it was
that,
Alicia Fox, Mr. Perfect.
whichever, do you think that she could be like the Big Show, where Big Show was kind of thrown in there, never really spent time, and Big Show was given
No. He was
excuse me,
thrown
not
off
Big
the
Show.
top of a building.
Excuse me, not Big Show, the
Then he came back
Giant,
the next week.
the Giant in WCW, where he was given the belt the first day.
It's
Do you
completely
think he
different.
kind of worked his way into being who he is? Because, I mean, what's your opinion of the Big Show now? Paul
but,
White.
But you're talking about a knockout compared to a 7'4" giant
Mm-hmm.
who was working with the greatest worker of all time, Hulk Hogan. She trips going into the ring.
Yeah. Kind of like the mortgage doctor did.
It could happen to anybody, David.
It's happened to me.
You damn near broke your neck when you wrestled.
Yeah, but I was already in the ring.
Here's what they should have done with Lacey, in my opinion. Velvet should not have been speaking for Lacey, introducing us to Lacey. She should have been speaking and taking that leadership role, which I assume she's being placed into, of the beautiful people, and been as strong and as powerful on the mic as Angeline Love was.
I agree with that. I'd buy that. They rushed Lacey in. I think if you give her some time, she's going to develop into, you know.
But did they have to?
Superstar.
Did they have to replace Love so quickly? Whether or not you agree whether
You know
she
what?
should have been brought back
They
or
should
not.
have had tryouts.
Ooh,
On air?
could have got a
Yeah.
couple months out of that.
That would have been fun, having tryouts. Kind of like the Big Sexy Tour, you know, how he's going from town to town.
Keep it wet, ladies. That's what he says. That's what he says. If it's able to air on Spike, it airs here on Primetime.
No, he said keep it wet. He didn't say ladies.
No,
That
then
changes the whole statement right there.
Yeah.
No. Again, this
Yes,
is a
that
new.
way.
This is a new meathead. He's trying. He did not intend.
A new meathead. The masses are going to riot if there's a new meathead.
I did not intend to make any sexual innuendo in that statement.
Don't you Clinton that hand.
Oh, I did.
Super Impact next week, 3 hours leading into Bound for Glory, and Global Impact last night as well. WWE Smackdown celebrated its 10th anniversary last Friday night. Very good show. The Rock's promo was
It was The Rock.
promotable.
That's what's missing in wrestling. I've said it forever. I'm going to keep saying it. Wrestling needs The Rock more than it needs Stone Cold Steve Austin, more than it needs a 1990s Sting, a Hulk Hogan. Yeah, it needs
More
The
than
Rock.
it needs Donald Trump, more than it needs celebrity hosts. It needs The Rock.
When The Rock is the guest host for Raw in January,
Ratings.
it'll be the top-rated Raw in a long time.
It'll be the one they talk about from weeks before and weeks after.
Could be vintage Rock. Eddie Guerrero tribute.
Vintage.
Michael Cole said it
Damian
28
Cole?
times.
What the heck's going
I
on
don't know.
here?
You can compare me to JR any day of the week. No, Michael Cole.
No? All right. Don't get hot about it.
Now, keep in mind, though, to Michael
Are you
to the point of Michael
required
Cole-
in your contract to say that phrase once a
To
show?
the point of
At least
Michael Cole,
once.
I used to be a very big fan of his work on SmackDown. I just
Until he hooked up with Heidenreich, and then it was all over with for you.
got a little weird at that point.
Did it get weird?
The Eddie
Absolutely.
Guerrero tribute video.
You know what? That video made me remember how much I miss Eddie Guerrero. Just his charisma, just how much fun he was to watch. I mean,
But-
he sucked you in. He made you believe.
And especially the lie, cheat, and steal Eddie at the end of the run. But because I love the LWO Eddie as much as anybody else,
What was the LWO?
Latino World Order.
That was in that other company.
I loved Eddie Guerrero, but did they put it out there for their own purposes? Do they have a DVD coming out? A book coming
No,
out?
it just, you know what?
Because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I really did. And I'm with you 100% on how much I
When you
missed
think of
Eddie Guerrero.
SmackDown, there's certain stars that were big stars. Eddie Guerrero was one of them on SmackDown.
JBL was another.
You know, they didn't show him at all, did they?
At all. Not anything.
He
Well,
was
no.
the
They
longest-
showed the thing when he. No, that was on the DVD.
He was the longest reigning champ on SmackDown.
And not a
You
drop.
think
Played a
there's some heat
substantial
there?
role.
Possibly.
Played a substantial role.
There's no mention of Ken Anderson.
Anderson.
There is obviously no Benoit, but I mean, Eddie Guerrero.
Did you even see Angle? Because I don't think I saw
Oh yeah,
Angle
there's
either.
Kurt Angle on there.
Then I missed
There was a
it.
lot of angle.
Yeah, there's always Angle getting his butt whooped by the current stars.
See that, but you know what? Some people knock that, and I've been that person. It's so smart by WWE.
Of course it is.
Why make them strong? The overall feel of the show, which saw Vicky Guerrero return to SmackDown.
Excuse me!
10th anniversary had that big show feel, had that pay-per-view style feel for it. I thought it was a very solid effort by WWE on my network. My used to be a network TV.
You know what? It was great until they had K-Quick and what's his name.
Stop! His name is R-Truth.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are making a statement right here, right now, on this very program. For the next 3 months, 12 weeks, we're not talking about that one superstar that Dave just mentioned.
What's up?
Period. Not going to mention him.
What's
He's
up?
blacklisted.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
That ain't right.
What do you mean, blacklisted?
He's blacklisted from the show. We're not going to mention him. Who did we do that with? We did that with somebody else
I don't
a
know.
couple years ago.
Adam Lee? No.
Anyways, I'm just.
But I
don't
mean,
wanna-
what do you
I'm
mean,
sorry.
you
Great.
people?
He's a good performer. He's a solid performer.
Great dancer.
No, he's not. We're done.
David's
3 weeks.
skipping and
3
jumping.
months. 3 months. Done.
Don't be skipping and jumping.
3 months.
Suck.
Last week on ESPN Radio, our guests were Armando Leandro Estrada and the surprise edition, Al Snow made his return to the Pro Wrestling Report. I gave him props for owning me last time he was on. Armando had a lot to say. We actually booked our WrestleMania taping facility coming up for WrestleMania 26 at Baby's Steak and Lemonade in Glendale, Arizona.
SteakandLemonade.com.
And it was just good times had by those two and us, obviously, on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. If you didn't get a chance to catch the show, you can do so at our website, pwrshow.com, or more importantly, subscribe on iTunes. Video and audio podcasts are free of charge, and the Pro Wrestling Report is the #1 wrestling radio show on iTunes. 100 million people.
Al
Have
wanted
the
to know
ability
if
to
you're
get
going
the
to be
show.
able to join him for a bunch of his charity productions that he's doing. I think
I'm
it was
already
something
working on one of
Shetland ponies. And
No, I'm already working on one of them.
Okay.
Homeless kids or something like that.
Homeless kids and ponies.
In depth, You have the opportunity each week via our Twitter account. You can use the tweet board at pwrshow.com to send us your thoughts on who you want to hear more about, a superstar, past, present, or future in the wrestling business. And this week's winner is Andrew Crawford. Andrew Crawford suggested that we go in depth on Eric Bischoff.
I thought we were going to go in depth on Andrew Crawford. I'm like, I don't even know the guy.
We don't know him all.
This is right up your alley. This should be your deal right now.
Should be.
Well, let's lay the foundation. Eric Bischoff was born on May 27, 1955 in Detroit, Michigan, back when Detroit was a
Rock
city
City.
worth living in.
Detroit Rock City.
It's still a city worth living in. Come on.
As long as you live by
When's
either,
the last time you've been to Detroit?
It's been a while.
if you live by Hockeytown, USA,
Great place. Still one of my
America.
favorite
Oh,
bars.
you're going to get
Ford.
everyone all fired up, and they're going to start.
I
you
am
know,
so sorry,
going
but
off.
Detroit's
I
got some-
apologize. But again,
They got a
Jamie-
brand new MGM Grand Casino.
We were there, weren't we?
Downtown's
All
great.
right.
He was actually an amateur wrestler who first appeared on AWA television from Gagne's AWA in 1973 as an amateur wrestler, not wrestling, but just promoting a match coming up. Unfortunately, he would injure his knee and then have to retire from his amateur wrestling career. At that point, he did start learning Taekwondo. He is indeed a master black belt in Taekwondo. You've seen that a couple times in his time in the business. He has also done several things, worn several hats, including owning his very own landscape company. And also working as
Yeah, he's laid brick.
working as a veterinary assistant and managing a butcher shop, and he delivered meat.
Whoa, wait. Vet assistant and managed a butcher shop? Wow.
Was it right next to the...
Chinese food store.
Oh, you guys are terrible tonight.
I didn't say it. I was
You're
going to say it was...
blacklisting people. He's Chinese shopping people.
I
That
apologize.
was in reference to a Seinfeld episode, the Chinese restaurant. That was
Yeah.
the title.
All right.
Pay attention.
You know how I feel about it.
Hey, if you're hot, say you're hot.
Eric Bischoff, though, would get his start in the wrestling business working for the AWA in the late 1980s. And when Larry Nelson got a DUI, he was one of the broadcasters for AWA. Eric Bischoff, who was already in a suit and tie working for sales, had to do some interviews.
Vacuum cleaning sales. He sold vacuum cleaners.
And worked for AWA on the side,
Uh-huh.
or on the slide. People still say that, on the slide,
He sold Hoovers.
not Kirby's.
No, because Hoovers really suck.
They put him on air, and from that point,
Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum.
they put him on air, and from that point, Eric Bischoff became a pretty significant force in the wrestling business. He auditioned with WWE in 1990 after the AWA went out of business, and contrary to popular belief, at least according to Eric Bischoff's side of the story, he had nothing to do with the football-themed matches that were probably some of the worst wrestling
You're talking
you
about
will ever see.
battable.
Exactly. At the end of the AWA days. It's fun to watch. So is a train wreck at times. He started with WCW in 1991. Actually did not get the opportunity to work for WWE after auditioning in 1990. He became the WCW executive producer in 1993 after beating out two people who were in the running for that job as well. Jim Ross, good old JR, and Tony Schiavone. Now, here's what I did not know.
He did it, by the way.
Here's what I did not know. Jim Ross left WCW because Eric Bischoff got that job. Remember Jim Ross debuted in April of 1993 at WrestleMania 9 in a toga.
In a toga.
The toga.
And Eric Bischoff became the executive producer of WCW.
You know why Vinnie Mac didn't hire Bischoff? Because they already had Craig DeGeorge.
They look the same.
Yeah.
Except
And
for
Greg DeGeorge was...
Eric
He was
Bischoff.
Sean Mooney.
Except for Eric
Sean
Bischoff.
Mooney.
No, Eric Bischoff had gray
No,
hair in
Sean
the
Mooney.
AWA and then had dark hair in WCW.
Really?
Dude, in the AWA, watch ESPN Classics, he had a big white patch right
at
up
the
on
end,
top
yeah.
in his perm.
He stayed with WCW aside from a couple of times taking a little bit of time off until 2000 after the Bash at the Beach incident involving Vince Russo and Hulk Hogan.
And a Hulk Hogan.
He did debut in WWE in July 2002, and what many say is probably one of the most shocking moments in professional wrestling, as he was announced as the general manager of Raw, and then left the company in 2007. And as of late, he's been running a production company with his dear pal, Jason Hervey. EB.
They did the deal on VH1. Was it Confessions of a Teen Idol, right?
That was
Yeah,
his show?
Yeah, that was the Bischoff.
No, that was a Bischoff
Celebrity
production
Championship
along with
Wrestling
Hervey.
as well?
Yeah.
Hervey was on camera, Bischoff was backstage.
Hulkamania tour coming to Australia. Eric Bischoff's a big part of that. You know what? Eric Bischoff with him
His name is Eric Bischoff.
Right place at the right time.
More than
Several
once.
times.
Yeah,
You
more
know,
than
he
once.
was there when Billionaire Ted
Just started writing checks.
had the purse strings
What do you
open.
want to buy? Hogan. What do you want to buy? Savage. What do you want to buy? Okerlund. What do you want to buy? Heenan.
Those are all my notes.
Show's almost over. As a matter of fact, we're 14 minutes into overtime.
Well, we get paid time and a half for that, right?
Well,
Ding ding, winner winner chicken dinner.
Cal over there is going to have some words with you after.
Cal, get the checkbook out.
What do you want to do? Overtime. Eric Bischoff, again, as Dave said, right place, right time more than once. He was also, as many people would say, that the best wrestling characters are you taking your personality, turning it up.
So, the strip club incident in Atlanta, Georgia, was him turning up his personality?
Yes. Yeah. Because he was involved with a bunch of the boys, had, his wife along with a bunch of the girls, and
Truly wrestling insiders, huh?
yeah.
Who?
Well, his wife and the Gold Club in Atlanta.
Oh, I heard all about it.
Wrote a song about it.
Eric Bischoff had a great on-camera
Well,
personality.
there was a lot of stuff in the champagne room then.
There was sex in the champagne room, according to, aside from what Chris Rock has to say.
Yes.
Go.
Glass heels.
Glass heels?
Go.
Clear.
Overtime.
Clear.
Overtime.
Clear.
Overtime.
Eric Bischoff, again, you know what? I think he's finally getting his due. He was a substantial force in the wrestling business, and I would even go as far as to say this. He is the man who changed the wrestling business with his ability to have put WCW on the map as he did. Had he not done that, I can't tell you where the wrestling business would be today.
And as hard as it would be for Vince to admit it, Vince knows that Eric changed the way business
I
is.
think it was more Ted Turner. Bischoff had the ideas, but if
Yeah.
he doesn't have Ted Turner's
Got
money,
other funding.
none of
Right.
that stuff happens.
But his creative changed the business.
He stole from the NWO from Japan.
We know that.
So he was not that creative.
But he
Look
made
at all
it
the
happen here.
talent that he held back. Benoit, Guerrero, Jericho, Mysterio,
Malenko.
all those guys that end in O's, you know?
Rey Mysterio's mask.
Yeah.
Juventude's man.
Well, by Eric Bischoff's own admission, he was too big for his home britches. And, he was just running the company like a cowboy. And now
Not like Cowboy Bill Watts.
Or Bob Orton. James Storm?
Eric Bischoff, thank you very much. Andrew Crawford for submitting.
Next week, we're going to go in depth on Andrew Crawford.
The Cospective will return next week, and we will be on 540 ESPN next Tuesday night again, 8 o'clock p.m. special time, with the Major League Baseball playoffs going on and Monday Night Football. We're going to land back into our, we believe, Wednesday night spot on a regular basis once all that is over with.
November.
But continue to check out pwrshow.com to find out when the show is going to be on, and next week it will be Tuesday night, 8 o'clock p.m. Central
Baseball's
Standard
given
Time.
us some heavy bumps.
This has been the Pro Wrestling Report. For the man they call Meathead, for the cause, wherever he may be, and David Hero, the opinionist, this is Damian Nelson saying thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again on PWR Express and 540 ESPN next Tuesday night.